good morning there. You're watching QTV this morning, and I am Jenna Bosonko, and I'm here with my bosses. Let me put it that way. Yes, Mr. Adedrami and Mr. Ka. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on the program. But just, how was your weekend? Usual?
Well, not usual this time.
Okay.
I spent some time with a couple of friends at a hotel in Bijilo. Famous hotel that normally has a brunch, Sunday brunch. So I was there.
Oh, for the first time, right?
No. I've been there quite a few times.
Oh, okay. So you've been to brunch?
Yeah, I've been to that brunch.
Okay.
I've been to that brunch, and it was good. It was good.
All
It was
right.
nice. But we chatted long after the brunch was finished. We still had lots of
Okay,
things
so, you
to
had
catch.
company?
Yeah, if I went there to visit a couple of friends, father and
nice.
son, who were there. So
Amazing.
it was good. It was good.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's great. Editor went to brunch. It's just good to chill sometimes.
Headline news.
How was yours?
Mine was pretty routine, just with friends, and all we do is just polemics,
Okay.
argue, debate on issues, and that's what I did.
Yeah, so it's like a
Literally.
campus sort of.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of thing.
It's the Daraji. That's where the Daraji
Oh,
originated.
right.
So we just there and exchange, argue all the time. That's
Okay.
how we've been. That's how it's always been, with different points of views. And
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's a school of its own, because you have people from all over the world, friends coming all the time, and we meet and we discuss.
Yeah,
Yes,
and this has
yes.
been happening for how long?
I
Since you
don't
guys
know.
were young?
Yeah. Since
That's
we
a
are
good
little.
thing.
Since from 1 days,
Oh, wow,
So that's
okay.
a long time.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
we just still keep
Yeah.
it together.
All right.
And
I
we
think
know.
And
Other
what about
people.
you? How was
me,
yours?
Saturday. I came on Saturday. Actually, I was out on Saturday.
Oh,
Yes,
cool,
I,
cool.
yeah. I
I-
had a dinner on Saturday.
I thought when you started with D, I thought you were going to say I had a date. But carry
I
on.
had a date.
Yeah, go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, let's
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I-
Let's pry some
Yeah.
more. Go on.
But anyway, it was fun.
Yeah.
So that's all I did. And then on Sunday yesterday, I just relaxed
Oh, cool.
because I know anyway it's going to be, a busy week and all of that. Like you always say, we only have our Sunday
Well, this
and
is
then
it,
the,
yeah.
the Saturday evening,
Yes,
Well,
but
your voice is very croaky. I don't know.
yeah, who me?
You had too
Yeah,
much
because
fun on
I had to
Saturday.
deal with my cold like for
Okay, yes, you had
a
it, yeah.
whole week.
Yeah.
I think it's just general. Everybody's dealing with it. So I think it's not just I came to realize it's not just me.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe somebody will come up with a remedy
Well,
to
we
say
hope
we
so.
should
I
take
mean, I had
vitamin
a very
C or
mild-
Herbs, the
herbs.
local herbs.
The
yeah.
local herbs
Mr.
work. He
Mr.
believes
Mr.
he trusts his herbs.
Mr. Carr's Herbs.
Yes, he trusts
the
them.
herbalist.
Yeah, so let's take a look at our African proverb before we go for a break and take a look at the papers. So do you want to take us through?
I'd love to take us through, and
Okay.
it says, it is the hen with chicks that fear the hawk. It is the hen with chicks that fear the hawk.
And it's an Hausa.
It's an Hausa proverb.
Yeah.
And so if I come to you first, before I go
Oh,
to
me
Malik.
first. Me first. Okay, very unusual. So it is the hen with chicks that. Okay, obviously the hen that has the chicks. You have something to protect.
Sure.
In that instance, so you are afraid of. The predator.
Yeah.
So
predator.
they're the prey.
Hawks are birds
Yeah.
of prey.
So they,
Yeah.
they're the predator. So you just have to make sure you guard your territory well.
Sure.
Understanding that the next person has more power than you have. So you have something to protect all of the time. And it's our normal lives. We just protect things. Based on the challenges that we will get to encounter.
Sure.
So which means all the time you have to be on the alert and buckle up for challenges and see how much you can solve them. They are inevitable because the predator and the prey exist and we live together. There's nothing one can do about that, but it's a matter of how much you walk towards, guarding your territory.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good intro.
Yeah.
Malik?
Yeah, well, you're always, like she said, you're always wary of the things you are vulnerable to.
Exactly.
I mean, you have to guard your side in order to protect what is precious against something that, can easily snatch it away from you.
Yeah.
So therefore, because the eagle from a distance, it can just come and pick
The hawk.
and the hawk, rather,
Yeah.
they're the same family,
Yeah.
can always come and pick one of the chicks of
Yeah.
the hen, and it's not easy to protect or defend.
Yeah.
Anything else on the ground,
Yeah.
mother hen would defend.
Yes.
Something that's coming from above and just take and go is very difficult. So that's why it's always careful and looking above to see
Yeah.
if the hawk is hovering, and then you have to hide them. So that, I think...
I think both of you have kind of nailed it. I mean, also, if you take in the human context, if we have something precious, we guard that something. And sometimes it might even be, as parents, our children. We guard our children from bad outside influences, as much as we can, because we don't want them to stray or we don't want them to get into trouble. And some you will have fathers who have daughters; they don't want their daughters to get pregnant outside of marriage, that sort of thing. So it's about guarding, what is precious. You make sure that you guard it well.
Even in diplomacy. International relations, how countries react to each other. When they understand that then a country is more powerful, what measures do they put in place to ensure they protect their own people?
Well, we've just got a perfect I'm glad you mentioned that, because we've got a perfect illustration this week and last week. China and America have been at loggerheads over all sorts of things. And so the Trade Secretary from America has been to China to visit, because they are each other's biggest market.
Exactly.
So they have to be on good relations. And then this morning it was announced that Xi Jinping would not be attending the G20. And Joe Biden said, well, even if he doesn't, I will make sure I go and see him. Because he knows that you have to normalize relations so they can pretend to be enemies for all the noise they make. But they have not broken trade ties with each other because they know how precious that is to keep it. And the reason he won't be visiting Xi Jinping is because the G20 is going to be held in India. And right now India and China are having an intense border dispute. They share a very long border. And last week China put out a map which included those parts of India as being part of China. So India are not very happy about it. So for all the noise about BRICS are going to do this, BRICS or that, you have the two of the biggest BRICS countries fighting each other, literally as well as figuratively.
So I guess that was a good example.
Yeah, it's a good example. So they're trying to protect the trading relationships and make sure that it isn't fractured.
All right, so we can go for a break now. Do you have any other examples?
Not really.
Not really? Okay. All right, so we'll just go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll head right on to the newspaper review. A lot of things have been happening over the week and the weekend, so we can take a look at that. We'll be right back.
Technology has always been at the forefront of our lives, and the way we use it has evolved drastically over the years. With the advent of 5G internet, we are entering a new era of technological innovation that promises to transform the way we live, work, and play. 5G internet is capable of providing data speeds up to 100 times faster than 4G, making it the ideal solution for streaming high-quality videos, playing online games, and downloading large files on the go. 5G internet is already transforming cities across the globe, powering smart cities, self-driving cars, and virtual reality experiences that were once thought impossible. 5G internet is also paving the way for Internet of Things, allowing for seamless connectivity between devices and the creation of a truly connected world. For the first time in the Gambia, QCell is bringing tomorrow's technology to you today with the launch of QCell 5G Internet. Get ready to experience the out-of-this-world wonders of QCell's 5G Internet. For more information, call 111. QCell. We innovate, others follow.
The future.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV This Morning, and I am Jenna Basonko. We have few stories here and there that we can take a look at. So first, we have here that the Minister of Digital Economy and Communications has been implicated in awarding contract to his company. So this is a story carried by Malagan. So it's an investigative piece. I guess you saw it. I went through it as well. So it has to do with, when then the issue of conflict of interest, when you're in power and then, you get to award your own company or a family member's company. So, which is common.
It's common. It's a serious allegation. It's a small country, so I think we wait and see what the response will be
from the
minister as well. But yes, it's potentially a serious allegation.
Yes, it is.
Like you said, it's common because if you follow the commission that's ongoing now,
exactly,
you'll see a lot of that happening. I think it's about time people make this kind of distinctions. But like you said, since this is just recently reported, is ongoing. We can only wait for the development and the issues that follow on.
Yeah, I mean, as Malik says, I mean, one of the things that it shows us, the commission shows us, is that on paper, we have all these rules
Exactly.
and procedures, and they're not being followed. Because you hear people dragged in front, well, not dragged, and they come and give evidence, and then they ask them, well, you know, why, when from what we have here, it says 3 people need to certify that this contract can be awarded. Why is it only one signature is on there? It just happened time and time and time again. On paper, everything looks perfect. But when you scratch beneath the surface,
Then
you
you
realize
get to
that the
see the
rules are being
problem.
flouted.
Yes.
And you know, we urge people to watch the commission.
They should.
Because, you know, some
Interesting
of
revelations.
what is being revealed is, I mean, I don't use the term loosely, truly shocking.
It's really shocking.
Truly shocking.
I
So-
mean, with the TRRC, there was a lot of drama. I can understand.
And
That
that's
is
why
why
people watched it.
But
You know,
now, this is
people
the
are like,
serious
"Yeah,"
issue.
you know, but it's a
you know,
serious issue
taking our
because
country down,
it's your money
financially.
as a taxpayer.
Yeah,
It's your
exactly.
money that people are abusing and using wrongly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it reflects in the broader context what is happening. There's not just focus on the local government side. I think this should be broadened to
It
see,
should- I
so
agree.
that it
I
can
think it will
help
be.
government.
Yeah.
It
I
can
think it
help
will.
them,
Yeah.
you know, for leakages of you know, these needed resources.
I mean, Jennifer mentioned, you know, the potential for an anti-corruption commission
Bill.
somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
You know, other countries have it, and you know, one of the things we have to learn from other countries is if you have an anti-corruption commission, you give them teeth. So initially, when they had one in Sierra Leone, all they could do was investigate and then present cases, and then they amended the law for them to prosecute cases where they found wrongdoing, and that's what they do
And
now.
they recovered a lot of
They
money.
recover and they're still recovering, and so
Yeah.
you know they're getting a lot of praise from around the world for the fact that you know they're going
It's
after
working for them.
a lot of people.
Yeah. So moving on, we have that the GPA and GRA vow to improve the port's efficiency.
Yeah.
So actually, I've heard from, you know, older people who tell me that, you know, our port used to be really, really vibrant, you know, at a time.
Yeah,
You know,
I think.
so I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, for those of us who studied the history,
yeah,
I think where I always give them a bit of slack is that 30 years ago and now, the volume of traffic that came through the ports has
Yes.
gone exponentially higher than ever it was. So you're not comparing like with like. I mean, now the sheer volume has defeated them because they've not modernized to
you know,
to
they do
keep
not
track
keep up with the pace,
of
of everything. That's where the
This
problem
is it.
lies.
So it's quite a small port,
Yeah.
and so you hear routinely, both you know, anecdotally and actually from people I know, they're saying, "Oh, my goods sat there for months or weeks or whatever,
you know,
for no good reason."
which is, you know, kind of
you know, so
affecting transactions, because then if you're a
yeah.
business person, you've not
So-
gotten what you need to,
Yeah.
then you will not put something back in.
But
So, I
you
don't
know,
know.
I think they're trying to modernize and they're trying to keep up with the pace of the
It's
volume.
not looking
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's down to efficiency,
Yeah.
and efficiency
Yeah.
includes, you know, management, equipment, and all these
Yep,
things.
yep.
I think the reason why they're making that comparison is because Gambia used to be a transit port where lots of goods used to come and then by
Exactly.
land,
Yeah,
and maybe the volumes have gone down substantially in relative terms. So that's why people, and also the holding of, you know, the uploading and offloading, you know, of containers also is
That's
part
right.
of that, is holding the traffic.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, they should really, I'm sure they probably already have, because they're thinking of creating a new port as
Newport,
well, you
that's
know,
right, they are.
in
Yeah.
Sanyang
Sanyang,
and all
yeah.
these things.
Yeah.
So they ought to look at all these possibilities in order to really position ourselves, you know, again. Sometimes it's always good to position your country to take advantage
Exactly.
of where you are. And Gambia is well placed to take advantage of the surrounding
Actually,
countries.
Togo is
It
leveraging
to-
that. Yeah, Togo is really leveraging that
Yeah.
because their
It's-
port is up to standard.
Yeah,
You
quite.
know, all of these countries, Nigeria, Ghana, all their goods pass through
They go
there.
to Togo, yeah.
Yeah, pass through
But
Togo.
ports require a lot of investments.
That's
The
right.
investments that should really expand.
yes.
Sometimes the state alone cannot do it. So maybe they should look to see what type of formula, whether it's PPP or inviting investors to come and look at it. You know, sometimes I know people make a lot of noise about, make a lot of noise about when you invite maybe countries like China and others to be involved in port building, about, you know, they want to take the port, but you have to invite outside investment in these capital intensive kind of ventures, you know, to be able to modernize and bring it to the extent. I am so with them. They would be
It's
thinking,
I mean, they need to look at it. I remember I was trying to remember the woman's name. She took over as the head of the Ports Authority in South Africa. And within 1 year, she completely revolutionized it, that the profits they were making when they were making a loss, which nobody could understand. And she just rooted out all the corrupt people and the corrupt officials. And it sped up and she won awards all over the world for it, because it was so radical and so revolutionary. I mean, one of the things that shocked me about ours is how expensive it is compared to Senegal. So if you get your goods through Senegal and drive them through Gambia, it's cheaper than coming. That should not be the case.
It's really weird, because people now are actually diverting their goods through Senegal and bring them here, because number one, according to them, it's less bureaucratic in Senegal. It's faster. It's everything.
And it's cheaper.
Exactly. And then we have our own. So, like you said, it's
I mean,
weird.
There are things that shock me sometimes about Gambia. When I had to change all the fuel injectors on my car, when I went to look for brand new fuel injectors, it was double the cost, the new one in Gambia, of what I ended up buying it in Senegal. It was double. It's ridiculous. I mean, I think it's insane.
We need to improve on that.
They should look at all these things and address it.
So what else do you have for us?
So apart from that, the Rafala president, which is the Mayor Rohi Malik Low, launches the Youth Volunteerism Program. Actually, I must confess that I'm yet to read through it properly to understand what really she's trying to achieve. But I think it's something I really have interest in, and I will look at it.
Particularly the youth element
of it.
Which was launched. Our colleague Isatou Touray was there. And it was a big affair. And they've got lots of sort of ambitious plans for youth to actually take people and kind of develop this spirit of volunteerism, which it's not really there, but it needs to be there, because you have lots of people who they're probably quite willing, if only there was a channel for them to get involved as volunteers. So
a chance to invite her to the morning show.
Sure.
I saw the fanfare, and what I like is the training scheme of it, because vocational training is very important. We have to give our youth, we have to translate the potential to real skills. And TVET is very important. It's part of the equation to solve the gap, the skill gap that exists. And when we say skill gap, we we mean completely accomplished with refined skills that can compete
on an international standard.
Not just like somebody built a kind of bed and it's wobbly. We have to start having standards, that are very refined. And through education, using the institutions, we can equip our youth. They don't have to be employed directly by the state. They can be self-employed for most of these jobs. So therefore, acquisition of skills is very important. And I think this Rafaela thing is emphasizing that as part of a component.
This is just the importance of having our local leaders take on international roles. Whereby, they can also bring in support. The fact that
we've got like councillor, former National Assembly member, I beg his pardon, Usman Sela.
Exactly.
He's been appointed, to head
of
Pan-African organization, again to do with TVET and so on, because of the work he did in the Gambia. That kind of recommended him to be head of, of the whole of Africa. And that's fantastic.
Huge difference,
So skills.
And with the Rafala too. So, moving on as well, you were talking about this debate at the National Assembly tomorrow between the Swiss and the government.
National Assembly. National Assembly affairs kick off today, 10 o'clock, and then tomorrow, one of the ones that caught my eye as I flicked through the week's calendar was one of the debates. I think it's marked as the second debate of tomorrow. Is on the Gambia government's deal with the Swiss government regarding migration, which is something that obviously people are very, very concerned about here in the Gambia. And yesterday, I said I hung out with some friends. They're from America, and they were trying to get from me, why is it that migration is such a big thing here? They've been to other African countries, and they're really shocked at the scale of it, and almost the obsession, which is what I call it, here. And so there'll be a lot of these deals that are being signed with individual countries as well as with the EU. And every time it comes up, Gambians are very focused on it and very interested in well, what exactly is the deal that we're entering into.
You know,
so it'll be
keen on
migration.
I
will be keeping an eye on it.
Gambia should be very mindful, because what we receive in terms of money coming from our people in the diaspora is quite substantial, and it's important to us because it's part of the things that makes the engine of the economy work. If you calculate over this period of last 2 years, more than $1 billion US dollars would have been pumped into the economy, you know. So therefore, it's important that the medicine that the West sometimes bring to us is so bitter that we should not just accept it like that. I know they do put conditions in terms of issuance of visas and all these things. Sometimes they have that leverage over us. But also we have to protect our own interests. And I think they should also change direction, the EU particularly. The way they have been doing this, it's not been working. So they must have to open up gaps where they can allow our young citizens to go acquire training, you know, maybe for 3 years, come back, like, you know, kind of.
But the issue is the comeback.
I've never subscribed to that, I have to say.
Me too. Because Mr. Khan, the comeback aspect, there's no guarantee, and they do not even respect this.
But the thing is, it's not somebody else's job to train our youth.
But they are going. It's their problem.
They're going untrained.
No, but if it is their problem.
No, the reason,
but the thing is, even if it's their problem, we don't go by the rules.
No, if it is your problem, Ade, you're looking for solutions.
Yes, I know.
So that's why the training is important.
But one of the reasons why there's a lot of is that the kind of anti-immigrant sentiment rather across Europe now. I mean, a far-right party that wants to deport all immigrants in Germany has just got 25% of the vote in local elections. 25%. You might say that's small, but that's quite significant. They're almost a Nazi party. You know, I heard the leader being interviewed on the BBC last week. You know, and what is he playing into? He's playing into the fact that Germany is saying, we have our own unskilled people. We don't want unskilled people from Africa that we then have to train. And it's not their business.
But Ade, what I'm saying, okay, let's take West Africa, for instance. Recently, we have a spate of coup d'etats happening. Naturally, the atmosphere will not be conducive for all those people to be there. So they will be looking way out.
For all the opportunities.
So in order to address that issue, the EU must create a partnership with the African countries to see what model, because this model of deportation has been going on for a long time and it's not stopping the youthful population still using the high seas and going.
But the issue is, even before the coup d'etats started happening this frequent, this has also been happening.
But where? The Libyans were not going. The Tunisians were not going before
then
Gaddafi.
It means African countries have to look inward.
Let me explain. Before Gaddafi was overthrown, they were not using Libya. Tunisia was not being used. You must understand the context in which this have increased in terms of volume. Now they can easily use Libya, Tunisia. Then when Gaddafi was there, you cannot. But they destroyed Libya. And then Libya, all of a sudden, is floodgates for migrants wanting to go. Tunisia became one.
But the thing is,
North Africans never used to go in their numbers like Tunisians because they had it all, but all their economies. That's why I say the North-South discussion must take place so that they can look at how to address really our situation, the economic, the dire situation in which we live. How are they going to support? It's their responsibility. Because if you take our resources...
Well, I don't agree with you.
With all due respect.
Yes,
with all due respect.
Yes,
let me just make one very quick point. If I'm in Europe and I read that Niger has currently the world's highest quantity of uranium, and people from Niger are going across the desert into I'm thinking, hang on, so what are they doing with all the money they're getting from this uranium? Why are they not creating institutions, structures, jobs for their own people? That we have mismanaged our resources. Europe shouldn't be the ones who should then fix the fact that we have mismanaged our resources. It's not their job.
It's not just we. This is in partnership with the West. That's why they are anti-French, anti-this, anti-that. They know taking our resources. And if you take my resources, I'll follow you.
Yes,
and this is
but
what
the
is
resources
happening.
are taking because of the way we
Incompetence.
are managing our own resources.
That aspect.
For example, Nigeria, other
I'm not
countries.
disagreeing with you on that.
Yes.
But what I'm saying, it takes two to tango. So they have created this economic relationship where it's exploitative. And we are getting poorer with the collaboration of so few people who are getting richer on the back of the people. And the people recognize that all the resources are flowing towards the north.
And also
So they
the
follow
West,
it.
then they're not going to look at, it's not going to be even to their own benefit to bring up this partnership. If then African countries do not buckle up.
Because
because then the exploitation is still happening
The
in
reason
their
they don't want to do it is
benefit.
because if they do it, it will just encourage even more. I mean,
Exactly.
the Gambia contributes a disproportionate number of people to this journey. A country the size of the Gambia, we are the smallest country physically on the African continent. And yet from West Africa, we contribute more people landing in Italy and Spain.
everywhere.
That even just is mind-boggling. That
But
a country
that
of
started
this...
during the Jammeh
And
era
has
when people
continued.
were
And has continued.
Yes,
Because
and
they
then
tested
things have
it.
changed.
They tested it, it worked as a formula
And
then.
now they're
But
continuing.
the risks are high.
In 2018.
Exactly.
In
And
2014,
like Mr.
2018,
Ade said, it's not the
40,000.
responsibility of these countries.
Yeah.
They have their own people to manage.
Hey, it's a collective
It
responsibility.
is collective.
That's why they are
but
imposed.
but the issue is the burden is too much on their own economy.
Not really. I don't agree with that.
Well, I will see it like
the level
that.
of
I'm
poverty,
actually putting
the level
my
of
shoes.
poverty we are going through. Yes, our people are partly responsible, but the economic institutions
major.
created post-independence is part of the issues. So it must be recalibrated. We must have to revisit
But we
the
really
economic
need to
constitutions
move forward
that
with
are
those
created,
things.
that have created this imbalance. That's why we are having so much.
I just feel like we have to move away from that at some point.
Yeah.
It's too easy
yeah, for
From
me,
what?
on our side as African countries.
The neo-colonial institutions are factual.
They
the
are
Bretton
factual, but
Woods, the IMF, these are
World
not.
Bank.
Those are all
You know.
true, but we're too much leaning on them for us not to move in a
not-
way.
we're not
what we
fixing
have,
our own
Our
Exactly,
problem,
not
we
fixing.
have problem of leadership, of management, but also by the same token, we have problem of institutionalization of exploitation. So that also must be addressed. So
Yeah,
this
but
is
anyway,
a two-way
let's just let leaders, African leaders, check themselves.
Yeah.
You know, let them do what's right.
Yeah, go ahead.
When they do what's right, these institutions you are talking about will change eventually because they're doing what's right at their part.
Look, one of
That's
the
how I'm
things,
feeling.
one of the things that we're not doing
It's
that is
setting up
right.
a
Anyway,
debating platform.
let's move on because
Okay.
time is up already and we have
Yeah,
another
right.
topic.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this topic can actually continue for another day, you know, at a bigger scale with
It's-
more opinions even.
It,
you know.
it deserves a program
Yeah.
all of its own.
All of its own. So look at me arguing with my bosses.
Hey,
I need to just not
It's a
acceptable,
debate.
right?
It's a debate. It's
But
a debate.
thank you so much, Mr. Ka, for joining us. So we'll just go for a short break, and when we come back, this is actually a discussion we had last week about first conviction of FGM offenders since 2015. Three people convicted, and we'll be joined by Dr. Isatou Touray, who's the former Vice President of the Gambia and currently the Executive Director of Gamco Trap. So we'll just go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll get to take a look at that.
The future is now with QCell's 5G network. Experience speeds like never before with our new 5G Rocket Fix internet plan. Get speeds from 10 Mbps to 100 Mbps. Your 5G-enabled devices. Walk into QCell headquarters to get one of our 5G routers and experience the true feeling of 5G. Only with QCell. QCell brings you the future. Tech, innovation, incredible speed. The future is now. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyabus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
QCell brings you the future with our ultimate bundles. Enjoy the best voice and data bundle plans in one package. Get unlimited data packages with flexible validity and enjoy what true internet feels like. Get 30 minutes of on-net and off-net calls with 5 gigabytes of data for just $350. Or get bigger bundle packages from 10 gigabytes to 20 gigabytes with over 100 on-net and off-net voice calls and enjoy the fastest internet speed in the Gambia. You can also buy 1-day, 3-day or even 7-day packages and enjoy unlimited data bundles with uncapped speeds. Just dial *343# today and experience the limitless capabilities of the QCell network. *343# should be your favorite code to dial now. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell. We innovate, others follow.
Welcome back from that break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. And I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Adedirami. So like I mentioned before we went for the break, we're about to continue on a discussion that we had last week about the first conviction of FGM offenders since 2015.
That's right.
3 women. And we're joined by Dr. Isatou Touray, who's the former Vice President of the Gambia and currently the Executive Director of Gamco Trap. So this particular achievement came through Gamco Trap as an institution that has been, fighting against harmful traditional practices, meted on women for the longest time ever. So welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, so to start with, just take us through how this particular case is able to be achieved. How?
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to represent Gamco Trap and other organizations who are fighting to end FGM in the Gambia. The case came up as a result of the strong surveillance systems that Gamco Trap has created many years ago, where we train community-based facilitators who are across the country and to go around to check in their monthly, in their cluster communities, if any form of sexual and gender-based violence is taking place in the region, particularly with special emphasis on FGM and early marriage. And as a result, one of the coordinators, who is Momodu Keita, he was on his monthly monitoring. He was alerted by some of the other facilitators in the community to say that please come, there is FGM going on. And about 8 children are being slated for circumcision at Bakadaji Mandinka. And then he got the wind, then alerted the police, the child welfare officer at the Kuntaur police station. They went there and found the woman doing it red-handed. Unfortunately, 3 children were circumcised while the other 5 were rescued. So they were arrested and brought to the Kuntaur police station, where the children were brought in, and the circumciser herself, and then they took the kids to the Bansang, to the Kuntaur Health Center, where they were referred to Bansang to establish the type of circumcision done on those children, and then start a case process. This is what happened.
Yeah, I do.
Yes, I mean, I was quite amazed when I heard in the report that we did, you said you have 365 of people around the country, because we know that a lot of this is sort of embedded in a lot of our sort of culture and practice. How were you able to get these people on board, and is it a mixture of men and women? Because we've heard about Momodu Keita.
Yes. I think FGM is a cultural practice that pervades the whole community, and it is widely practiced. And to address it, you have to take a system-wide approach. You have to also build the capacity of the people, because first and foremost, I want to establish that we were not circumcised because they wanted to hurt us. There are certain reasons why it was done. And in order to make a change or to create a cultural shift, you have to educate the people. You have to sensitize them and raise their consciousness about why they should stop certain practices that have been here for many, many, many hundreds of years. And to do that, we took up what we call a multimedia modular package, where you have to look at the issue from different perspectives using the rights-based approach, from a health perspective to cultural perspective to tradition, and also on the, talking about the rights of the child, and also to create that awareness and sensitivity.
So, Doctor, I'm afraid we might just have to go for a short break due to some interruptions here and there, and we will be right back. Do stay with us.
Thank you.
QCell brings you the future with our ultimate bundles. Enjoy the best voice and data bundle plans in one package. Get unlimited data packages with flexible validity and enjoy what true internet feels like. Get 30 minutes of on-net and off-net calls with 5 gigabytes of data for just $350. Or get bigger bundle packages from 10 gigabytes to 20 gigabytes with over 100 on-net and off-net voice calls and enjoy the fastest internet speed in the Gambia. You can also buy 1-day, 3-day, or even 7-day packages and enjoy unlimited data bundles with uncapped speeds. Just dial *343# today and experience the limitless capabilities of the QCell network. *343# should be your favorite code to dial now. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, we innovate, others follow.
Step into the Espas Motors showroom for your luxurious name brand vehicle. Located along the Bertil Harding Highway, Espas Motors is the Gambia's authorized dealer for Chery, Kia, Ford, And now we bring you the new Peugeot Model 3008 SUV. 18-inch alloy wheels, 216 inches high ground clearance, keyless entry system, start and stop button, rear parking assistance system with reverse camera, adaptive cruise control with speed limit, LED daytime running lights, front and side airbags, 8-inch HD touchscreen. Not to forget our exquisite Peugeot Landtrek double cabin pickup with 2.1-liter diesel engine, 6-speed manual transmission 4x4, hill descent control, LED daytime running lights. Espace Motors, the authorized dealer for Peugeot. Visit us today or call us on 35-2222 or 353-4444.
Welcome back from that short break, and we apologize for that brief interruption. So yeah, Doctor, so you were talking about the need for capacity building and other, advocacy mechanisms that you're using.
Yes, we adopted a multimedia modular package.
Right.
This was developed some years ago by anti-FGM activists, where we thought looking at this issue needs to take a holistic approach. And that holistic approach means looking at it from a health dimension, from the traditional point of view, from the children's rights perspective, and then the religious dimension, including the right, using the rights-based approach as our tool of analysis, and also women's rights issues. So having done that over the years, we trained quite a number of target groups in the Gambia, knowing that Gamco Trap is a leading women's rights organization fighting for the rights of women and girl children, but we cannot do it alone. We need the whole of society to be involved, particularly the issues we deal with, which touches on female sexuality and matters that people believe that it has to do with religion. And as a result, we developed different groups, target groups. Even the media was involved. I remember when you were very young, you were trained, you were an intern, and all these things. And as a result, we created 365 community-based facilities. It's not one time. Over a period of 10 to 15 years, every year, we will bring in, let's say, 100, we will target 100 community-based facilitators in our various regions. We take 25 from each of the regions and drawn from the different districts so that everybody is involved because everybody's mouth has to be there, everybody has to participate. We taught them the effects of FGM, what FGM is all about, the religious dimension, health aspect, tradition, and then ask them, what is your role when you go back to the community? And the beautiful thing about it is because we were looking for sustainable, a long-term sustainability. So it was the communities that identified those community-based facilitators, both men and women. We brought them together, and then they were trained. And then when they went back, the country was divided into different clusters. The Gambia has about 1,881 villages, and we targeted them by villages, and each of the villages were put into clusters, and that cluster came in as a result of the grassroots telling us how their own traditional patterns are organized so that we could break the cells of circumcisers. And that way, each of the community-based facilitators will have about 20 to 25 communities to monitor and report back to Gamco Trap. So they were given refresher courses, and every now and then, if we have the funds, we update them and upgrade their skills.
So the circumcisers themselves, we're aware that you normally have engagements with them.
Absolutely.
And then when you do, sometimes they are ones that actually opt to leave the practice.
Absolutely.
In totality. But my issue is, do you follow up on them to make sure that this is not just for the camera? And do you also have...
Well, one of the ones prosecuted
was a circumciser and decided to come back. So I just want to know how much you engage them, or do you even give them maybe packages to start a business, just to be engaged in something else, whereby they know then they will not engage into FGM.
That's the theory.
I think that's a very, very good question. After we have done all these preparations on the ground, and then we even target the circumcisers, they have a more thorough training because these are the custodians of the practice. These are people who are being asked to do it on behalf of society, and therefore they carry a lot of power and recognition. And because of that, we need to work with them in order to convince them, and in order for them to also learn and be empowered, raise their consciousness for them to make the right choices and the right decisions. They go through a series of training, and not only one, it's a systematically organized, specially targeted program that is done at particular periods. Now we get to a point where when we reach to consensus, where they have a consensus building program. And that consensus building program, Gamco Trap is only there to facilitate the convergence. But they sit down to do some values clarifications. If I leave it, what am I going to do?
Exactly.
Now, some will come to tell you, even if you don't give me anything, I am ready to leave because I thought I was doing this for the sake of my religion. But now that I am empowered, I know that it has nothing to do with my religion, and I have seen examples around me where I share the same religion with people and they are not doing it. I am ready to leave, and I want to beg for forgiveness from the community. Yes. So they would do that and then come and they decide even on the date. So what we do as Gamco Trap is ethical, that we understand that they did not do it for themselves. It was society that had asked them to do it because they believed it was doing honor and justice to the girl child. But now they have come to realize that this affects the sexual and reproductive health rights of the girl, it violates the rights of the child, and that it has nothing to do with your religion. So we need to agree on a package. And what we did in Mandinka Buntambulu Doko, that is, if we agree to stop you from doing this, what are we going to give you to continue? And through that, they make it out of their choices. We don't tell them we will give you this. We discuss with each one of them and prepare a plan for them. Now, some will tell me, I want to have few goats, I want to have few rams, we want to do small retail trading. Some will tell you we need a milling machine. You have some circumcisers who are so magnanimous because it is individualized. They say, look, I have not been doing this alone. I've been working with a team, and I want to make sure I help the women. So can you please get me a milling machine? Now, those milling machines that we are distributing under the support of the UNFPA UNICEF joint program is as a result of their demand and request. And that is what we have been taking to some of them. We have been creating shops for some of them. We did bakery for them. This particular woman who had actually broken the oath, out of a group of 208 circumcisers, she is the only one so far that has been caught doing the practice after the law has been put in place. So you will find that the rate of compliance is very strong and very high. And I think, like you said, how much are we monitoring them? It depends on the funds that come. What usually happens is that every project that you do, you must have a monitoring and follow-up component. That should be under a normal project. Some of the partners are now saying that you don't need to monitor, just implement. So I found that very funny because if you understand what projects are, and you have to have a component for monitoring and follow-up and then evaluation. So if you are doing the project in the communities, you are not giving resources to go and monitor, and it's expensive. So that might be a lapse, and I would want to raise that issue, flag it out there, that any project that is going to be supported should have a monitoring and follow-up component, and then we need to bring them back again to train them, to retrain them, and then have a convergence. We have a network of circumcisers across the country, I must tell you. And when this case came up, they all, some of them came to the meeting I had with them. I had a consultation with them, and they all renewed their commitment and said that they are really disappointed that this woman break it. But this is a very rare case, and I think we also have to understand that in anything you do, there will be people who will not respect what you are saying. Now that the law has come, that law is not Gamco Trap's or UNFPA or UNICEF's or Babali. It is the law of the country, a law that is there to protect the rights of the girl child and all other children to be protected from harmful practices, and that is why the law took its due course. And I want to appreciate that from the office of the IGP and the Gambia government, because that is why the law is there.
So you also talked about the issue of religion, how these women thought religion was the reason why they wanted to continue to do this, but then later they realized. So how are you also engaging religious leaders to whom people still believe that religion is the reason why people should practice FGM, because there's that divide that exists? So how is your engagement with them?
I think, as you already know, it was one of the most topical issues when the fight was hot in the Gambia, when we had this religious divide and people associating with Islam and so on and so forth. But we were able to win the case for the simple fact that there are religious scholars who stood up to support Gamco Trap. And we also, as women, are well read in the Quran. We don't understand Arabic, but we read the Quran. We read the hadiths, and we know the science of hadith, and we also engage experts over the years. There were so many conferences that were held nationally and internationally, and at the village level, everywhere that Gamco Trap goes, we have this holistic package. We do the awareness and sensitization. For the last 20 years, we have been doing that and reaching out to religious scholars. You have had the debate when other scholars who were trying to push it, and I said, please go and look at the Quran. If it is in the Quran, any verse that has said that a woman should be circumcised, I will close Gamco Trap. Gamco Trap is not there for only FGM, it's there for women's rights, but because it was the most topical aspect and people were playing on the ignorance of the public and the women, especially who could not read the Quran, and telling them this is a religion, when in actual fact we have seen within the same religion, some women and some ethnic groups are not doing it, and we are all of the same religion. So I think the women have been highly sensitized, the public has been highly sensitized, and at the same time also, a lot of the people who are pushing the religious dimension have seen that there are clarifications that have made, and it is no longer an issue. Those that are talking are only trying to cover their ego, because people are aware. The circumcisers, if it was a religious, they would not come to consensus, and we have made 7 public declarations based on those values that we have clarified with them, based on the knowledge they have, and the chiefs, the council of elders, and opinion leaders who are well educated and well read know that it is just a tradition. FGM predates Islam and any other monotheistic religion in the world, and therefore it is wrongfully associated with it. So the religious issue is no longer a problem, because we are having, of course, pockets of resistances here and there. That's normal, just like the circumciser has done this. So it is, but we are continuing the debate. We are going to continue to dealing with sexual and gender-based violence. For example, early marriage is also associated with FGM. You also have all the other forms of violence that affect women, and we need to address a lot of them. So the religious dimension is no longer an issue, and that is why it is ending. And the young generation, who are now having their own organizations, running them, will not subject their children. They will not. They will also be talking to each other and reaching out to each other and making sure it will come to pass. We only have to finish the unfinished business, and that's why Dr. Touray is back to Gamco Trap to help reprogram and put certain things in place to ensure that the women's rights agenda is given the right perspective.
Right. Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, just very quickly, I was involved with an organization in the UK called Forward.
Oh, yes.
Which you should be aware of. And what they did was, and this is where my question is coming about the advocacy. And so what Forward did was they engaged people like myself, men who had people that we knew had died from it. We became involved in it.
Right.
And so we had this thing called I Am My Sister's Keeper. Because, and I said this when we discussed this last week, that one of my own classmates had said to me that he would not marry a woman who was not cut. And this is somebody who's actually a PhD holder. Right. Not that that matters, but there are people who, for them, he felt it was part of his culture. And so what they did was they got men. So really what I'm getting at is that how are you reaching out to young people, particularly men, to say, this is your fight too?
I did.
Yeah.
Actually, the young people have been engaged for quite a long time. I remember I was going through the files and I saw your application letter when you came there.
Yeah. And you know what? When you mentioned it, I'm like, okay, doctor has a really good memory.
And so many of you are there. And those are the women, the young girls and boys who are now leading these young organizations. Right. And that is a great pleasure for Gamco Trap. And it's a great improvement and progress, because, as I said, we cannot do it alone. And that was not the intention. And we have created that critical mass of young people who should raise their voices, who should be engaged and move forward. Now, male involvement has always been there, because our society is a highly patriarchal society. And they call the shots to a great extent. And as a result, we came up with programs that we call male involvement in the ending FGM. And all across the country, we have been working with UNFPA. Under the UNFPA UNICEF joint program, we have engaged a lot of men, and these men have taken lead. Even in Gamco Trap, most of our chairpersons were all men. In a women's rights organization where a male is being the chair, it means we recognize the role of men so that they can break the taboo of silence and also take leadership in convincing men like them and others and their voices to add to the fight. Now, there is also what we have done just now. We have done, when I came back, after all that, we have also what we call a project called Masculinity.
Right.
That masculinity is coming from the African Union's Heads of States initiative to support ending violence against women.
Right.
In the world. And under that, when I came back, I worked with UNFPA. I did the concept paper on masculinity, and then on movement building. Then we also dealt with one in cross-border initiatives and so many other programs. Because we are a lead in this issue, we gave it to them. And that is what is informing the work that it is currently doing in the Gambia. So you will find that men have always been there. Men have also been formidable challengers because it has to deal with female sexuality. But we have very genuine ones. You have Imam Babali. You have others who are working behind the scenes like you and so on. With Forward. Forward has been one of our partners.
Right.
We've been working with them. They've supported our work. We have shared our work and together. But I want to underscore the important role that the UN system have played in the ending FGM in the Gambia. Under the UNFPA joint program, we have done quite a lot. A lot of work has been done. And today, if we are celebrating success, it is because of that support we got from the system and the partnership that we have got from them. That is why we are able to sustain the fight to come to this end, to this level. Now, the law which came was supported by Urgent Action Fund, Africa Regional Office in Nairobi. Because funds were not forthcoming. Gamco Trap has not received funds for the last 15 months from our partners. We have just received one after the court case from UNICEF, and we are grateful for that. But the rest, we are still waiting for other partners to come and join us and let us continue. There is a lot to be done. It is easy to end this. And the fact that the law is now being implemented, I know people are talking about, but it's not severe. This, I said, let it start somewhere.
Yeah, the 15,000.
Let us set a precedence.
Sure.
And then from there, everything that women have to do or policies that affect women, we have to negotiate from a very small stage and then move forward to make it stronger and stronger. And the reason why we are able to do this prosecution is because the security forces have been sensitized. Because when that happened, I was lucky. I was invited by the GIZ program to train the senior police officers, and that was the area of analysis, FGM. And then I brought in the court case. Then as soon as we finished there, they asked so many critical questions. All the questions that were answered, and then we showed them how to go about it, and they came in and played their role. And today, as soon as they left that program, and also the support of Urgent Action Fund, we were able to get this. So what is important now is after this, what next? And that's where it is important our partners should come in.
So talking about what next, it was other women, final question, other women were involved because you said it was altogether 10.
No, it was 8 of them.
It was 8,
yes.
and 3 then were circumcised. And so what happens to the rest of the children, the 5 others? Because there needs to be some monitoring, because already the idea is there that they want to do this.
And their parents had consented.
And their parents have consented. So
Absolutely.
what happens to these children?
Immediately what happened was to rescue. The first intervention we did was we rescued the kids, all 8 of them. 3 were already circumcised because the time that raises the fundamental issue of facilitation for the community-based facilitators, and also having a timely rescue time. When that happened, we saved the children. We brought all of them to the police station. They were taken to the hospital and so on. So even one of the children who was circumcised, the mother ran to Senegal. She ran away with the baby. So we don't know. We are concerned now to try to retrieve that mother and the baby to see what is happening. The other 5, the parents were cautioned. And I told the community-based facilitators they must strengthen their surveillance to go around the villages that are very close to them to see whether anything is happening. So we are putting an eagle eye on them. And we are trying to negotiate to find the funds to be able to monitor. Even me, I had to use my own personal funds, to use my own personal vehicle and my office to go there, to go and follow the circumcisers, to follow those, but I cannot go around everywhere because I don't have the resources. That's why, and we need to, the project has to be there that will help Gamco Trap to be able to move. Now, with all those resources available, I can tell you, I am just back to finish up and to round up, you understand, to move this thing forward and ensure that FGM will be a story of the past, because there was resistance and people thought even during our lifetime we will not see a change. But we thank God Almighty that this change is going. But I want to thank the partners who are already there. But it seems as if the funding for women's rights and funding for FGM, there is a problem.
Okay.
And we need to sort that out in order for us to give the right attention to some of the issues that are happening. It is possible, it is doable, but we need to change strategies. We need to look at the strategies and try to follow up on what is needed. And that's very key.
Yeah, but thank you so much.
It's
I
my
can
pleasure.
remember I attended this event where the current Minister for Gender, Children, Antifa Tukinte, was talking about, the first time she had to go to a gathering to talk to them about FGM, when at a time you cannot even sit here to talk about FGM-related matters. So, the narratives are changing, like I always put it.
That's just,
I'm sure your child is not going to be circumcised.
Absolutely not.
And many others. So that's something that is pleasing. So all we need is to support each other, to move forward, and to put the money in the right place, to ensure that it is done diligently and effectively and transparently, in order for us to reach out because what is my fear now is how to reach areas. Now, when places are isolated and they do not see people coming around to see them, the tendency for them to conspire and continue what they want to do, because nobody is there to look at them. It's not that we don't want to go. We want to go. I don't feel happy sitting in Banjul. I like to be in every corner of the country because women and girls are everywhere. And issues of SGBV are happening on a daily basis. The rapes, the early marriages, the FGMs, the wife batterings, and all the other concomitant crimes that are happening on women are happening on a daily basis. So we need to be there. We need to focus on helping. We need to focus on strengthening those organizations that are really committed and want to be there to ensure that we do the work. It's not only Gamco Trap. I'm speaking on behalf of the women's rights movement. We are a feminist organization. And when we speak for everybody. We speak for a constituency that whose rights have to be really respected and recognized. This is violation of the child's rights. And they have to be allowed. They have to be allowed to grow. Their bodily integrity is affected, and we need to help protect them and give them the opportunity also to grow as adults and healthy people.
Thank you so much, Dr. Isatou Touray, for joining us on the program. So we'll keep following up on the work of Gamco Trap, and other successes that you'll get to register as an organization.
And thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Ade, I think that is all we have time for.
I think that's all we have for. Just to say congratulations to you, your team, and all your partners in this fight.
They have done very well. All our partners have done very well. So I'm appealing to them to please come and let us work together and protect the girl child.
All right, and the media has also done its part by inviting you here.
I'm very proud of all of you.
Since
this happened, the media has given Gamco Trap a very great visibility, from GRTS to QTV to other TVs and everybody, and still the calls are coming in. I would urge all the other activists to come out and put their mouths into the discussions. It's an opportunity. It's not only Gamco Trap that is supposed to be sitting here to talk, but I think they should come out. They've also been working on it. For us to do it, because we are masters in it, and we hope that we will share the experience. We are here to share the skills, and we are here to work with you.
All right. All right. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yeah. So I'm afraid that is all we have time for till we come your way tomorrow with another interesting episode. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of our program.
Thank you.
Sound check 1 2.